We were never meant to do that. I'm not meant to say I can't have a bowl of strawberries because that'll put me over my calories. You're meant to say, okay, well, I'm a little hungry, so I'm going to eat some strawberries and then move on with your life. The mental struggle is not normal and is something that there's help for.
Would you like to learn more about the topics that were discussed today? Join us at radicallyhealthy.com, where we're combining lifestyle with other tools to add to our toolbox. We have many offerings, from a free community to a private community and even one-on-one support. Hope to see you there. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. I'm so excited for you guys because today I have Brittany from Brittney, one of my favorite YouTube channels to gather information. She keeps up on the news. She shares her journey, and she has other people in her family on a journey as well. So we'll see if she'll share that today. But thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I'm wondering if you could just start by sharing a little bit about yourself, what your health has been like, and what was it like before GLP-1? How did we get here?
Okay. So a little bit about me. I'm assuming a lot of people know, but I am a stay-at-home mom with 3, who has pretty much devoted her whole life to her children, right? Like a lot of us. But I have struggled with a weight problem for my entire life. Since I was probably 6, I remember my dad would tell me that, oh my gosh, this is sad, but he used to tell me that if I'd lose 20 pounds, I could be a supermodel. My father would say that to me. So yeah, I have struggled with obesity for a very long time, and it all stems from some stuff that I had going on in childhood. And that kind of led me to using food as not only a comfort, but like a hiding place. I would eat so that I wouldn't be seen by other people. So I wouldn't be approached by guys or boys or whatever at that age. And so I kind of hid beneath food for a really long time. And throughout my young adult life, it wasn't so much of that anymore as it was just I was addicted to food. Once I had gotten to the point where I was so heavy and so like reliant on food for comfort, I didn't know how to stop doing it. And I ballooned up to 255 pounds before I started on my GLP-1 journey. I've lost 112 pounds, which I'm sure we'll get to. But it's my childhood was filled with a lot of trauma, a lot of generational trauma that led me to comfort myself with food.
Before you did GLP-1, did you try anything else? Did you try calories in, calories out? Did you try keto? Did you try anything else?
I've tried everything, as I'm sure we can all say, right? So I counted calories I can remember in high school going to lunch, and I don't even remember what it was, but I was taking some type of diet pill. So I'm, like 16, 17 years old. And I can remember sitting in math class and reaching in and getting my diet pill out of my bag and taking it, whatever it was, so that I wouldn't eat as much at lunch, and like packing my lunch and counting every single calorie that went into my meal. And so I've been trying to diet forever. So I have tried keto, never made it very long on keto because that is hard. I would go like a day or two and I'd be like, I need to eat something. I can never get myself to the ketosis part that everybody talks about where you start to feel great. I could never get through what do they call it? The keto flu that they say happens when you try to do that. I could never get through that. I guess I never was strong enough to get through that. But yeah, so I've tried keto. I've done Weight Watchers. I've counted calories. I have tried it all, everything. And what I found was that restricting myself in any way just made my mental health really bad. Like it would throw me off center really bad. And so there had to be some other way, right? And so I started searching, like there's got to be some way, there's got to be some reason why I can't stick to a diet is kind of where my thought process went. And then I found GLP-1s.
So when did you find this? And was it easy to get a hold of?
So for me, yes, actually. So I was inspired. There is an influencer who's kind of controversial, but Erin Williams, do you know who she is? She was on Big Brother. Oh, okay. Well, that's probably great that you don't know who she was, but she is like a mommy lifestyle type creator. And she had shared on her Insta story that I was watching one day that she had been prescribed Mounjaro for her postpartum weight loss. That she was having trouble losing weight after her 4th baby, and her doctor recommended Mounjaro. So this was in like November of 2022. So Zepbound was not a thing. Wegovy wasn't really even a thing. It was Ozempic and Mounjaro. And so I, made an appointment with my doctor and I asked him, have you heard of this? What is it? Whatever. And he gave me a prescription for it. And I got in by the skin of my teeth on that $25 coupon that they had a couple of years back. And so I paid $25 a month for the first 6 months. If I could find it, that is, because that is also when the stock issues went, and so I'd have to call 5 different pharmacies sometimes to find it. But yeah, for me, I had a doctor that was very on board with, he is very on board with pretty much anything. If it's not going to hurt you, he's very on board for if it could possibly help you. So yeah, for me, it was not hard to access at all.
Okay, so you came in though when people weren't talking about low dosing. Did they require you to escalate, or how did the dosing go?
So it kind of wasn't really talked about at that time. The data was you increased every month. So you went from 2.5 to 5 to 7.5 every single month. And that's just what I did. And I didn't ask questions about it. And I don't know that he really knew any better about it at that point either, because it was so new. And increasing, monthly was what they did for diabetic patients. And so they just kind of took that and transferred it over to the weight loss patients and continued with that. So I went up in dose every single month. And it was not fun. I would not do it that way again, but that is the way. I did follow the typical dosing structure because at that time, that is really all that was known.
Did you have any side effects?
Oh, absolutely. I still to this day, I can't sleep very well for a day or two after my injection. I've always been that way. In the beginning, though, I would have nausea. I would vomit sometimes. I would take my shot on Thursday evening. Yeah, Thursday evening. And pretty much until like Sunday evening, I was down for the count. Like I felt awful. I had no energy. I couldn't eat. I remember reading some comments from people talking about how they would like be in bed all weekend, or they'd stomach a protein shake and that was it in a whole day. And I related to that because that's how it was. And now looking back on it, I was taking too high of a dose, right? And I was going up in dosage too quickly, right? But back then I just thought it was par for the course and I kept doing it. But yes, very bad like gastrointestinal side effects that would last like half of the week, every single week.
Wow. So what kept you going, even having all of these? Just the fact that this is going to work, or?
Because it was working, because I was losing weight, because I was publicly sharing that. I'm, going to be honest here. I was publicly showing people that I was losing weight on this drug or on this medication, and I didn't want to fail in front of thousands of people, right? Even at that time, my platform was really small. Like, I've put this on the internet that I'm trying to lose weight doing this, so I'm not going to quit it, right? There was only one time I would say that I really was like almost done. And that was when I tried to go up to, I went up to 10 milligrams. And the side effects that week were so bad. Like it was awful. And I said in a video, if it's like this next week, I'm not doing this anymore. Like it was that bad. But other than that, I felt like I should continue, like I should carry on. And I do want to say, because I feel like people will bring this up. I don't know if you watched the beginning of my journey, but I was taking phentermine in the beginning. Do you know what that is?
Yeah. So you were taking them both?
Yes. So in the very beginning, the day I went to my doctor and asked him about it, he said, again, not a lot was known about Mounjaro, about any of it at that point. He said that it can take a while. You take 2.5. A lot of people don't even lose weight on the 2.5. So here, take this for the first month or two while it's kind of getting into your system and working. And so I did what he said. I trusted my doctor. I still trust him. But I don't think he would do that now. But at that time, again, just not as much was known. But yeah, so during that first month, I think probably 6 weeks, I took both. And what that did, I think, was counteract some of the like energy depletion, because the phentermine gave me energy. So, and I also think it boosted weight loss, right? Obviously, because it was two things at one time. So yeah, it's a little bit difficult for me to say all of my side effects in that first month or two came from the Mounjaro, because I was taking both. Now, again, I only took both for about 6 weeks and then I stopped as he told me to. But yeah, I always want to be honest with everybody about that because people like to watch old videos and then bring it back up.
That is so interesting. So you're in a completely different place today. All of this stuff that you've gone through, you've figured out a different way. It's so different today as I watch your videos and the things you talk about. But I am wondering, in that beginning time, did you know to focus on making sure you're getting protein in and weightlifting?
No, because again, nothing was really known, right? It was just so early on that everybody just said, take this shot and you'll be fine. So to be honest, I didn't really change my eating habits much in the beginning. And I just kind of took the shot and I mean, my eating habits changed, right? Because I just couldn't eat as much, but I didn't focus on anything in particular. And I regret that now, not necessarily so much the protein, but like especially the weightlifting and stuff like that, because looking back on my journey, there were definitely times when I was like, oh, I just am weak or I haven't eaten enough or I can't even lift this box up because, I'm losing muscle mass. So there are regrets that I have about that for sure, that I maybe would have done a little bit more intro research so that I could
But
be
there
more.
was none.
But again, there was none, right? So it was hard. It's hard for me to say I wish I had done this differently because I don't think anybody really at that time would have told me to focus on those things because it was just I watched Erin Williams and she took the shot and she lived her life normally otherwise. And her big thing was it just made me eat less food. And so that's what I went into it with the idea of, oh, it'll just make me eat less. And it did, it worked, but I should have focused on some other, and I knew better just from a nutritional standpoint. But when you can't eat anything hardly, like you kind of just are like, whatever I can stomach at that time, I'm going to eat. So
Yeah, this is such a great thing for you to share because one of the biggest things that the weight loss dieting community will criticize is, hey, people aren't making lifestyle changes. But I've seen it in my family. I've seen it in my friends that they might not come out the gate doing it, but as they go, they do make changes. And I'm going to guess, we're going to get into that in a second, but I am curious while you're taking these things, and every body is different and we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to others, but just could you give us a little idea of like what the weight loss has looked like for you?
yeah. So that first month, I did lose quite a bit of weight. I lost like 20 pounds in that first month. But again, keep in mind, I was on both of the medications at that time. And then after that point, I pretty consistently lost 10 to 15, I would say probably closer to 10 most months, pounds every single month until we hit about 6 months. And then that is when it slowed down. So 6 months in, I was 60 pounds down. Then it took me I didn't lose the full 100 until 2 years in. So another 18 months to lose 40 more pounds, which again is something I think a lot of people don't talk about, or you see a lot of people talking like, oh, it worked so well in the beginning and I'm not losing weight as fast as I was and it must not be working anymore. But that's not true, as we know. It's just the fact that A, you don't need to lose as much weight, and B, the medicine, your body needs to recover at some point. Plateaus are your body recovering from weight loss. But yeah. So I lost about 60 pounds in 6 months.
Wow, that must have felt amazing. One thing people always say is, I've lost weight, but nobody ever says anything. Did people say things to you?
I think it probably took a few months. I don't remember. It's funny because I don't remember a lot of it in the beginning, but now they just tell me I've lost too much weight. I need to stop, right? Like people say stuff all the time now. But in the beginning, I would say it probably took 2 solid months. So I probably lost like 30 plus pounds before people really started to say things. And there are some people, like for my mother-in-law, for instance, who has never said a word about it. Not one time.
Interesting.
So
What
like
about your
some
husband?
people,
What does he think?
oh, well, he thinks he likes it. But he's also on a GLP-1 journey and has lost like 50 pounds. So both of us are just healthier. So she'll say stuff, my mother-in-law will say stuff about his weight loss, but she's never brought mine up. But I think it's more of like you don't ask a woman about her weight type of thing in the generation she lived in. So I do think we have some of that as well. But it's interesting that people are so quick to tell you that you've gained weight, right? Especially the older generation, like, oh, you're putting on some pounds, but they don't want to congratulate us when they lost weight. And at that time, it was nobody was on a GLP-1 and nobody really knew what they were. And so I didn't share that I was on one. And plus I was scared to share that, again, might think that I was weak or whatever for having to take one.
Yeah, you've definitely been sharing over the period and they're still doing it, but it's becoming better where everybody was like, you're cheating, you're cheating. Why can't you? Did people ask you like, why are you stealing medicine from, were you a diabetic?
No, and I got that a lot in the beginning, especially on YouTube. I had a lot of what you call keyboard warriors that would, leave this medicine for the diabetics. You're the reason my mom can't get this medicine, so on and so forth. I didn't necessarily get that in real life. But again, I mean, aside from my family, I didn't really tell people that I was on one for a long time until like other people started asking what I'd done to lose weight. That it wasn't until that point that I shared. So mostly online, I got a lot of, you're awful, you're stealing medicine from the diabetics. Yes, I did get that quite a bit. I don't anymore though, but I did.
So I have my own answer to this, but what is your response to that? Because clearly people who are struggling with obesity need this medication. We also have a medical need, but what do you say?
So my answer now is probably different than what I said back then. Back then, I was still, until I really went through the full transformation, I was still very meek in the beginning, I would say, and people pleasing. And so I kind of was like, oh, well, if my pharmacy was having trouble getting it, then I wouldn't steal from a diabetic. I kind of made up excuses, right? Like trying to please the bear, I would say. But now I'm like, okay, well, I, as a obese individual, need this medicine to not become a diabetic and to not have all of these other, health ailments down the road. And why is you being a diabetic more important than me being obese? You know what I mean? Like, why is one greater than the other? And we all need treatment. And if it wasn't for greed, we would all have treatment.
Yeah. So what happened after the $25 thing ran out?
So that was in June of 2023. So initially it went from $25 to like $550. So you still got some off with the new coupon, but it wasn't $25 anymore. So I actually stopped taking it at that point for, I think, all of July. I just didn't take anything. And I don't want to say that. My doctor actually gave me metformin because he had heard that metformin could be like a good maintenance option. But metformin comes with a lot of side effects, like a lot of side effects. So I took that for about a month and then I said, I just can't do this. My food noise was coming back like crazy. I was hungry all the time again. And I decided to start paying the $550. But instead of taking it weekly, I went to biweekly injections. Because at that point I had lost I weighed about like 180, 185. And to be honest, I was not unhappy there. And I was a lot healthier than I was in the beginning. So I was like, I'm just going to take biweekly injections. And it made it, like $275 a month versus $550. And I did that until March of 2020 when the coupon system crashed. And they had the big hack. I can't remember what company hacked him, but they hacked into the company and none of the coupons worked. It wasn't just Mounjaro. It was like a ton of medications. They couldn't file coupons for any meds, like any pharmaceutical coupons wouldn't work. So I had to pay like $1,500 that month. And I paid it because I was scared to not have my medicine, right? And then I switched to compound because I just didn't want to deal with that anymore. I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I am sick of calling 5 pharmacies every single time I need a refill. And sometimes having to switch doses because I would have to say I was on 10, but they only had 7.5 available. I would just go back down to 7.5. Like I would do whatever to get the medicine. And eventually I was like, you know what? There's got to be a better way. And so I ended up switching to compound. And I've been on compound ever since.
We've had a little grace period over the last few months, but before that, it's been drama. So when people come and say, I'm worried I won't have access in the future, what do you say to them?
I am of the belief that access is not going anywhere. What gives me, are we speaking directly like about compound? Is that kind of what you're asking about?
Yeah.
I think there are a few things that lead me to believe that it's not going anywhere. Of course, I'm not a know-all. I don't know for
Right.
sure, but um, you know, Hims just ended their contract with Eli Lilly, and they did so because Eli Lilly said that they would not be able to be under contract with them and also compound. And so they said, we'll just end our contract with you because, and so that's a big sign for me, right? That they would rather not have that contract with them and continue compounding than the other option. And then Hollandale started producing GLP-1s again, which is another huge sign because they were the big pharmacy in the game. And they
Right now?
stopped. Yeah,
Really?
they stopped for they stopped back, I guess, in March when the
Yeah.
ban happened. No, they have very recently started again. So it's been, I think I reported on that maybe 3 weeks ago. So it's not been too long, but yeah, so there's good news out there suggesting that it's not really, and I honestly never thought that it was going anywhere.
For people who don't know, Hollandale has been very cautious. And every time there's been a letter sent out, they just immediately cease. They're not in for the fight. They're not up to go against Eli Lilly. They don't want to. So the fact that they would come back and start compounding again is a sign they felt it was safe.
Yes.
To do so.
Absolutely. And I think what they did was they kind of stepped back and decided to watch how like other lawsuits and stuff like that. And because there is a few still ongoing. There's the one versus Empower. There's the one versus Mochi. I think there's one versus Amble as well. So there's a few telehealth companies that have been served lawsuits. And I think they've just been watching and kind of seeing how it plays out. But yeah, it's interesting that they came back because like you said, they have been, husband in the background, that they have been very cautious. So.
Awesome. So when about did things start changing where you started implementing some lifestyle things?
I would say probably 2 months in. Let's just put it. The first month I was so
it was
like,
quick.
yeah. It didn't take a long time. But the first couple of months, I mean, I was still going to go to McDonald's. I was just going to eat 4 nuggets instead of 10, whatever. So I was definitely eating less, but I wasn't making conscious effort to eat differently necessarily until about 2 months in. And then I really started to prioritize protein. I did lower carb, but I would not say low carb because I'm a carb girl. That's always been my thing. But I really, at that time, more data started coming out about protein and prioritizing it. There was another girl, her name was Christy. I can't remember her channel name. She was, again, one of the like original Manjaro people. And she had gone off of it and gained a ton of weight back. And there was this huge focus from her doctor on protein. And so she started talking about it. And so, I would say a couple of months in, I really decided, I need to actually watch what I eat with this, because if I am only able to take in such little amount, I need to make sure that it's nourishing my body.
Has any movement been part of your journey?
Oh, the whole time. So I'm not somebody that goes and does like extreme exercises, but I do walk all the time, like 5-6 miles every single day. And I've done that from the from the first day.
Yeah, I like your walk and talks.
Yep.
Sometimes you've had some
seems
of those.
to like those. Yeah. Yep. Every day I do that, whether it's with a dog or by myself.
So I do remember, so you pretty much have been on tirzepatide or name brand Mounjaro, but you did do an experiment with Wegovy.
I did.
And you want to tell us about that?
I hated it. So I did that for a couple of reasons. Well, 2 main reasons. My doctor had said I felt like tirzepatide wasn't working as well. So I fell into the trap that I was speaking of earlier, where I was like, it's not working anymore. And he had said that there had been some people that had done peptide cycling. So you go off one, on another one, and then cycle back to the other one. And that they had success with that, and it had made whatever the original one was work again. And he happened to have like samples, which never happens, right? Like the doctors have samples of GLP-1. So he gave me 6 pens of the highest dose Wegovy, which was 2.4, and said, take these for 6 weeks and go back on tirzepatide and we'll see how it works. You'll be a little guinea pig. So I only made it 3 weeks because it was night and day. So for one thing, Wegovy, in my experience at least, does not stop food noise. Have you taken semaglutide or Wegovy?
Never tried it.
So, tirzepatide is the dual hormone. So it does the GLP-1 and the GIP. And the GIP is the one that they think works on the brain and works to calm food noise and all of that. And so for me, Wegovy, like pretty much instantly, I was having cravings. I really was not getting much appetite suppression. And I tried to stick it out for as long as I could. I didn't gain any weight, but I just did not feel good on it. And the biggest thing was that all of my inflammation came back. So the tirzepatide flushes me like instantly, pretty much. And Wegovy, like after the end of the first week, I was puffy everywhere again. I was hurting. Like I have carpal tunnel, and that was flaring up again. It was pretty instant. So I just think that tirzepatide works better. I do think the experiment kind of worked, though. Well, or at least I tricked my mind into thinking that it worked, because when I went back on tirzepatide, it was definitely more effective. But that could just be because I was on Wegovy for 3 weeks. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not a fan. And I actually read a recent study that said that Wegovy only works for like 60% of people. So it's a large percentage of people that it's not going to do anything for, which I guess is why it's cheaper. But no, not for me. I have 3 more pens in my fridge that I'm sitting here trying to figure out what I'm going to do with, because they expire in November and I don't want to waste them, but I just can't do it.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your dosing? So you went up, up, up. You said you hit 10, and then that was just like, Have
Yes.
you gone down and up, and where have you ended?
So I went to 10, and I did end up sticking that out, because the next week, like every week after that, the side effects got easier. And so I didn't switch, right? So I stayed on 10 bi-weekly. And then I eventually actually did go up to 12 and a half. I think I did one full box of 12 and a half. And that was only because it wasn't available, like 10 wasn't available and 12 and a half was, so I took it. I don't remember side effects being worse for 12 and a half. Like I felt like that was fine. So I got to 12 and a half, and I did that bi-weekly for a month. And then that's when I switched to compound. I take right now like 25 to 30 units, which is equivalent to, for my, all compound is different and formulations are different. For my formulation, that's like 5 to 6 milligrams. That's what I take right now. And I decreased it pretty gradually. So when I got compound, I started at 10, and then every like week or two, I would decrease a little bit until I've landed here. And honestly, I feel like I still could go down lower, but I'm scared to. There's always some component of fear. Like if I go down 1 week, I'm going to gain 5 pounds or whatever. Like that fear's still there.
So you started out at 255.
Yes.
And you lost 114?
113? 112, yeah.
112. So that puts you in the 140s?
Yes. So I am I guess it is 113. So I'm 142 was my weigh in this week.
And how tall are you?
I am almost 5'7", between 5'6" and 5'7".
Oh, wow. You're doing amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm not necessarily trying to lose any more weight, but again, that's why I say I can probably go down. But yeah, no, I'm happy with where I am. I would like to build some muscle, stuff like that, but not really looking to lose any more weight.
So, and the whole time to get to where you are today, when did you get to this weight? How long did it take?
So I hit the 100-pound weight loss it was literally like my 2-year anniversary. So that would have been like last November. And then I've lost an additional 12 pounds from November to now without necessarily really trying, kind of just doing all the same things. So it took time. And that's what a lot of people will get discouraged when I say that. And I'm like, but what's the alternative? Right? Like the alternative is 2 years from now, you weigh the same or even more than you do now. So why not?
And another alternative is to lose it really fast, but also lose your hair, your metabolism, your muscle.
Yes. That is one thing that my doctor tells me all the time, is that he will see these people coming in and they've been on it for what, like 2 months, and their face is just like gaunt and skinny and what they call Ozempic face. And he's like, I just like, there's got to be some middle ground. It's like, I think it's a dosing thing, like figuring out what dose different people need. But he talks about that like literally every time I go in and see him, the amount of people he sees that just drop weight so quickly that like everything falls to the ground and everything is sagging.
So how did you figure out that you needed to go down? Were you having symptoms, or you just kept losing weight and you were like, I'm done losing weight?
Yeah. So again, so I go to my doctor typically every 3 months, and he will do blood work on me. He follows me very closely, which is something I always tell people and recommend that you should have. Like, I know that everybody can get blood drawn every 3 months, but I think it's really important to have a strong support system in a provider, right? So he started telling me, like, I don't want you to lose much more weight. What do you what dosage are you on? Like, we always talked about it. And so he would recommend every few months, maybe let's just go down a little bit. He said it to me when I was for my daughter's physical a couple weeks ago. He said to go back on dosage, and I haven't yet, but he's always telling me that. And so, yeah, I just kind of decided, okay, well, I don't necessarily want to lose a lot more weight, so I'm just going to kind of start decreasing it. And that's one thing I love about Compound is that you're a lot more in control. Like, you can take those middle doses or those super low doses or whatever, whereas you can't necessarily do that with a pen unless you're overseas and they have the multi-dose ones or whatever. But that's one very huge benefit, I think, to Compound, is being able to play with your dosing a little bit more, for sure.
I don't know a ton of people in maintenance, and so far it's been okay with me, but I think it's because I added some cagrilintide and a little retatrutide. So I added some other things in there. But I'm wondering, as you're lowering dose, like the biggest fear is that we acclimated to that dose, and as you lower, is the food noise coming back?
I don't think food noise is coming back, because that is something that would definitely make me increase my dose again, because I can take being hungry. That doesn't really bother me, but having like constant food chatter in my brain really that's my downfall, right? Like a lot of us. So I don't think that has come back. I do notice being hungry more. Like when I was on higher dosages, I would never get hungry. Like my stomach would, I told my husband once, I don't think my stomach has growled in like a year and a half. I never got hungry. Now I do get hungry. Usually at mealtime, my stomach will growl, but I still can't eat as much. So I still get full pretty fast, but I'm okay with that. That doesn't bother me. But if the food noise was coming back, I would have to think twice about lowering dosage, because there definitely is a fear that like that would be my downfall, would be food noise.
So now you've been on this 3 years, almost 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years in November.
And it's still working, because this is another fear, is that it's going to wear off. We're going to acclimate and we're just going to end up at 50 milligrams a week. That's a big fear people have on considering even coming on it. And what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm 3 years in, and it's now, do I think that it works as strongly as it did in the very beginning? I think that's relative, because I weighed 255 pounds in the beginning. I was used to eating a ton of food. My hormones were in very different state then. Like everything was different, right? So I think it's relative. You got to consider that. But I don't have side effects like I did in the beginning. And that's where I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's not working anymore because I'm not nauseous, or it's not, I don't feel that heavy feeling in my stomach, so it must not be working anymore. I think of now, what I like to say is that I have all of the good things of tirzepatide and none of the bad stuff. It's like my body got acclimated to it enough to where it doesn't do any of the negative things anymore, and it does all of the positive, which I will take any day of the week. So for me personally, it still works. And I'm still losing weight without really even trying to 3 years later. So I think that I'm an example that it doesn't necessarily stop working. There are plenty of other people that are still losing weight. A lot of other creators that have been on it for a couple plus years now are still losing weight. So I think people have this fear that either it's not going to work, or it's going to work and you're going to stop it and gain all the weight back, which we can talk about, or, you're going to keep taking it, but it's just going to suddenly magically stop working. I'm not sure how it could do that anyway, though, because it's a hormone, right? Your body always needs it. So I don't know how, but the body is also very acclimating. So anyway,
Yeah. So, what is the plan going forward? Do you think this will be something that you're on for life?
I have no intentions of stopping it ever. Unless there was some reason why I had to, right? If something happened. One of the reasons I said I get blood drawn quite regularly, one of the reasons for that is I do have a family history of thyroid cancer. It's not the medullary, whatever, papilloma that is the black box warning for, but I do have a history of it. And so it's just something we like to stay on top of, is getting those numbers drawn to make sure that everything's okay. And examining as well, because thyroid cancer is most often felt like just through an exam. But so if there was some reason why I had to stop, then I'll cross that bridge when it comes. But I don't have any intention to ever, I don't want to be without it ever again. It's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't need a GLP-1, like we feel now like they always have, right? And so it's hard. They're not going to understand. And so it's hard to explain when people are like, what about the long-term side effects? And what about all this stuff that's going to happen to you? But what about all the other stuff that's going to come if I stay obese, like all of the other health ailments that are going to come. Yeah. So long answer to your question, I'm not stopping.
Me either. And I think addressing insulin resistance, reducing inflammation, and reducing our body fat adds up to reduced disease in the long run.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you have all the other added benefits of cardiovascular health, prevention of stroke and heart attack, kidney. Did you see that Wegovy was actually just FDA approved for fatty liver disease, like recently, within the last few days? So all of the benefits, they're studying drug and alcohol addiction. I think we all need GLP-1s, every single one of us, right? For some reason.
So too.
For some reason or another, I feel like most of the population could benefit, because my vice might have been food, but what's yours, or what's Jim's down the road? You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I'm to the naysayers. At this point in my life, I just don't really care.
I feel like they just haven't looked outside the echo chamber. They're stuck in an echo chamber of misinformation and mistruths. And
Yeah.
if they just could get outside of that echo chamber, they'd be right with us.
But it's not necessarily even that. Another part of it is just how society has made people think about obese people, right? And so then you have the whole group of people that, like the Jillian Michaels, who think that you just need to cut your calories and stop being so lazy and get up and go run a couple miles, right? So there's always going to be the people that think that we are somehow weak because we quote unquote need this medication. And, at this point, I'm too old to worry about what everybody else thinks, right?
How old are you?
I will be 37 in September.
Okay, 41.
Okay.
So this is a great time. I prefer to have found this now than, never have found it, or found it, so many people I work with, they're 60, 70, 80, and they're not giving up, but they finally got this tool. And of course they would have loved to get it in their 30s and 40s. Yes, I would have loved to have had it at 15, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, same. But we're in our prime right now, right? 30s and 40s is when you're living life, right? You're finally more settled in your career. Most of us have started families. We're in life right now. I feel like if I had heard about this in my 20s, I might not have even been as approachable about it. I feel like it came at the right time, for sure. Yeah. When I turned 30, it's just life just a light bulb just flipped. I used to be so scared of getting older, and now I'm just pretty cool.
The 40s are the coolest. I just heard from the 50-year-olds. They think the 50s are the best. And I'm pretty sure the 60-year-olds say that.
That's what I was going to say. It's once you hit 30, people say that it just keeps getting better after that. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm here for it. So I don't really care what anybody thinks or has to say about it. I know what me and my doctor think is best for my health. And that's what I tell people, and that's what I go with. And, you know, we also, you and I both put ourselves on the public platform. And so to some extent, we're inviting the criticism just from being here, just from showing up. And I think that you have to have some level of just kind of, I don't give a crap, to be able to, yeah, I don't know about you, but I get some comments that are not nice, you know?
I don't, but you can't change the feeling in my heart. I've never felt this normal in my life. So if you don't get it, that's on you, not me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you can try to type anything you want to type, but it's not going to work. So you're just wasting your time. Right. I don't get that many mean comments, but I do occasionally get some where people think they know better than me for my own health. And it's just, you know.
So if you had any advice for someone who is out there struggling, they're thinking, maybe I should try a different diet. Maybe trim healthy mama, maybe carnivore. But I've already tried 10 diets. I've already tried 10 diets. I've been in Weight Watchers for 20 years and nothing seems to be working. What would your advice be to them?
I would tell them to give it a shot. I would say one thing I like, do what?
Pun intended.
Give it a shot. Yes, give it a shot. You know, I don't think that we as humans were meant to count anything or meant to struggle with this in any way, shape, or form. I think that it is something that has evolved over a lot of years of a lot of chemicals and a lot of crap that we've eaten. And also through the media and stuff, right? Like it's been driven into us that we are the problem and we're not the problem. So I would say it's not your fault. You're not alone. And there is help available that can change your life. And give it a shot, because you don't have anything to lose except, I guess, maybe a few $100s. But, you know, it's worth it. It really is.
And people come in with this guilt and this shame and this cloud, but then you see like a couple months in, it all start to evaporate and they start feeling better and realizing I needed this.
There are people that have been watching me for a long time that will literally say that to me. Like, I can see over the couple of months when you changed, speaking about me, like when your light came back on. And you know, now that I have found that, like, it's hard. I want everybody to have it. I want everybody that is struggling with weight and has been struggling with weight to know that you're not alone and there is a way, and it's a good way that is not only relatively easy, but what it does is it makes your body do what it's supposed to do. And what your body is not supposed to do is eat 1,200 calories a day and never eat another piece of bread. And, you know, your body's not supposed to do any of that. We were never meant to do that. We're meant to
We definitely didn't look at honey and berries and go, oh, I'm on a diet. It's bad for my blood sugar.
Right. You know, I'm not meant to say, you know, I've already had 1,200 calories today. I can't have a bowl of strawberries because that'll put me over my calories. Like, no, you're meant to say, okay, well, I'm a little hungry, so I'm going to eat some strawberries and then move on with your life.
I better eat these before the bear comes.
Right. And move on with your life, right? And so the mental struggle is not normal and is something that there's help for.
I totally agree. Okay. So if anybody wants to follow you, where do they find you?
So I am at Brittney Losing, as you mentioned, on YouTube, and then Brittney Rose GLP-1 on all other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere else.
It's been such an honor having you and getting to hear firsthand your story and have a conversation with you, because I've been watching you for a year. And so everybody, please go out, like, subscribe, and share to her. And I just want to appreciate everybody for coming on our show today. Also, please like, subscribe, and share. And all right, you guys have a great day. Goodbye.